Terry, your first thoughts when you saw this story, what impact could it have?
Well, my first thought is it was appalling, and it is appalling. It's an attack on the Supreme Court itself as an institution. Anne Marie did a fine job of covering the rest of it, so I won't belabor that. But any person interested in making sure that the institutions in this country are as strong as possible should be appalled by this. It is unprecedented, and it's wrong, and it ought to be, and I hope it'll be prosecuted, frankly. Beyond that, you have a situation, and Anne Marie mentioned this also, where it's a 3-month-old draft opinion. It strikes me as a very purist sort of opinion. You don't know anything about the Supreme Court's deliberations. You don't know any more about them now than you did before. Did Alito do this himself? Did the Chief Justice ask him to put up a kind of a purist position of getting rid of Roe? If so, did he ask other justices to do the same on their views? Trying to figure out how to knit the court together somehow on a view. We don't know any of that, and we won't know it. Finally, I think the political impact is very simply this: there are lots of folks who are dedicated to trying to make the most political impact out of this as possible, both on the right and the left. But I would caution that you have two things going on. One of which is that if you feel really, really strongly about this issue, if it's one of your top issues, you'd likely have picked a team already. You're either Team Red or Team Blue already.
Okay.
That said, there's 1 out of 6 undecideds according to most polls, and you're likely to see, that maybe sway people a little bit. But will this remake the midterms? I doubt that very much right now.
Okay, but Terry, what you're describing is an America in which there are two teams. There's one on the left and one on the right, and pretty polarized in either direction. Is this midterm election and the presidential election for 2024, for that matter, going to be much more about culture wars than policy? Is that the indication here?
I think it's, to some extent, it's always about culture wars. Those are important things. They affect how people think about what goes on in Washington and who they elect. At the same time, what we've seen over the past many months now, not just over the past month or so, is a world in which the vast majority of voters, however they describe themselves, right, left, centrist, independents, whatever, very focused on economic issues of all kinds, very focused on inflation, very focused on gas prices, very focused on frustration that Washington is not doing enough about any of those things. And, I don't think that changes, frankly. And, whatever happens with the Roe decision in probably one of the last decisions in late June, I don't think that completely remakes the midterms. Does that incent people on both sides to possibly come out more than they would have otherwise? Yeah, I think it probably does. But I would be very, very careful about deciding that it's going to have an impact one way or the other, not least because, Democrats who, Team Blue is strongest on the coasts, and they're the vast majority of voters, frankly, already have public officials that believe as they do on maintaining Roe and maintaining the right conferred there. But it plays very differently in the heartland.
Terry, are the institutions of America becoming more political? Feels like the Fed's becoming more political. The court feels like it's becoming more political. What are the implications if that is the case?
Well, I think the institutions have always been political. The famous humorist Mr. Dooley said over a century ago that the Supreme Court follows the election returns, and I can give you examples of how that proved to be true. The Fed itself is political. The Fed is not an unelected fourth branch of government. The Fed exercises power evolved from Congress under the Constitution. And one reason for the muddled Fed response right now is very underappreciated in the markets, which is that the majority of Fed governors, aren't confirmed or reconfirmed. These people have to proceed very cautiously on a lot of this stuff. And I've been saying that for months, and they'll have to continue to do so. Do I find that the institutions in this the political institutions in this country, the governing institutions, are more under attack? Yeah, I do. This is an attack on the Supreme Court. January 6th, 2021 was an attack on the United States Capitol. We've had many push-pulls from the edges of both political parties on the presidency and on all three branches. This is a time of higher politicization, certainly. Not unprecedented, though. I'm old enough to recall a lot of what happened in the 60s, and we were wandering around trying to impeach the Chief Justice. So that wasn't. This is by no means unprecedented. This sort of heightened passion.